Yeah, now stand and cheer for your Talking Basketball podcast.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Talking Basketball podcast. I am Mark.
Did that come out all right?
It did come out right indeed. Look at him there, lounging at home, enjoying the peace and serenity of child-free living for a night, or for like the next half an hour.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, no challenge with the babysitting tonight. So I had to do it from here. But look, Mark, the show never stops.
Life timing, sir. Yes, the show never stops indeed. Never, ever.
You know, I think I got to say, I think there's been some fantastic basketball on display over the last week. I would say some amazing British basketball moments for me. Yeah. There was two in particular, two or three that just stood out, and I was just like, that is why people should be checking out the SLB. That's why people should be checking out National League basketball between Div 1 to Div 3, because you see this kind of stuff. And there's this aggression that's coming with UK basketball at the moment. I don't know if people are feeling it, but I think, again, like I've said this to you before, I think it's the injection of the Americans coming over. This
definitely added something,
team.
Isn't it? Definitely added something, that's for sure. It's a funny one. I will, excuse me for looking at my phone this week. I've got all my show notes on here because my iPad's charging.
Amateur!
No, not amateur. Normally you're sat here so I can use my screen, but because you're a lazy bum, I have to just look it off this. But no, honestly, I'm not checking my phone or playing Candy Crush or anything. I am actually looking at my show notes, so don't call me out on that.
I've got a treat. I've got a treat for you there, Mark.
Oh, go on then. Treat me.
And our listeners.
Yep.
You've not seen this.
No.
But I couldn't help it because this is on display just underneath my TV.
Okay.
And this is something I brought back. I was tempted 5 years ago.
Yeah.
When we went to Orlando.
Right.
And this time it happened. You ready for this?
Am I ready for? Yeah. Oh, nice. Vader's saber?
Yes.
Vader's saber. Yeah.
Yes. Check this out as well. Hang on.
I like the end bit. What am I checking out here? I've just got you putting like weird faces. Oh, that's cool. I don't know if you put the mic next to it, if it makes any noise. No. No, we can't hear it. You'll have to do the overdub commentary for sound effects on it. I like it.
Awesome, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, it's a nice.
There you go.
Little bit of
into my life.
A little bit. Look, is that your nightlight now? Is that how you read?
Sad. Screw you!
You sure that's not your nightlight? You put it on at night. You read your little book.
I am in IT. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, that's exactly. Right, Paul.
Right.
Let's kick off to the SLB. So this week, now I actually had to look it up which week it was because I thought, is this week 5? No, it's not week 5. It's week 4. And I think that is one of the problems that we will have a little bit this year, because coming up this weekend, coming forward, there's 2 games that are for the championship, but there's also 2 games that are relating to the trophy, because it's the 6th and the 8th. There's the games that have been played, so it's kind of like the league's on hold again. But because of that, this week was week 4, and we had like 7 games played. It was absolutely packed. And I don't know if they've been listening, because do you remember what we said like last week? It's like,
Mark, of course they're listening.
They said, it's like we had 3 or 4 games, and you go, like, where's the games on like a Saturday night, Friday? They had 1 game on Thursday, 2 on the Friday, 2 on the Saturday, and 2 on the Sunday. It was a full week. So that's awesome, but it was a slog watching all of it.
I actually think it was an amazing week, and I'm not being out of order to London Lions fans here, but it was amazing. Spoiler alert, because the league just got competitive again. It was like, yes, like that week happened, and it was like, right. I mean, just looking at the table, I mean, look, it's wide open anyway for a load of teams, but it was like you've now got Eagles doing very well, but you've got 4 teams with 2 losses and 2 with 3 losses. So it just opened it up. And we said last season when it was like 11 wins to 1 loss and everyone else already had 4 losses. It was like season's over.
Yep.
This week just went, oh hell yeah! It just got interesting.
Yeah, it was really, really good. And I mean, look, let's kick it off. Let's start off with Thursday. London Lions versus Surrey. That's, I wouldn't say game of the week necessarily, but if you told me that was going to be the result, I think it's result of the week, most definitely. It
was a shock.
Yeah.
Like, in the copper box as well, it was like, what?
Yeah.
But Surrey are coming across like they're going through this team transition at the moment.
Yes, 100%.
They're even talking about it. There's some of them socials as well, but it feels like there's this team transition.
Yep.
And it's not like they're getting blown out in games.
Yep.
So I'll be honest, I didn't think they were going to get a result down there, but it was like, man. And I got to say, what a huge 3 from Camerson Gooden.
Yeah.
4th quarter.
Yeah.
1 minute, 27 seconds left.
Yep.
And he does, I mean, look, that's a bloody Steph Curry 3, isn't it?
Yep.
And he's shooting in the face of a guy who's like 6'7".
Yes. And it wasn't, what I liked about it didn't, I'm not going to say it didn't seem forced, but it was a great shot selection. And he just, like you say with Steph Curry, it's like the ease at which they went, I'm taking this shot. And it's not oh my God, I've got to throw something up, or oh my God, it just looked like you meant to hit that. That was a purposeful, that's going in. And absolutely. Yeah, I was impressed with that.
I love the camera angle. He hit it, and then the camera panned on Lloyd Gardner.
Yeah.
And it was amazing because his face was like, we are getting this goddamn win in the copper box. And it was brilliant. I mean, we've had him on the show. He's a really nice guy, great episode. But I love that moment. Camera just went on him. I'm like, oh, that's brilliant, because you could see it in his face like, right, we got it. We're getting him. It
was great seeing Andrew Lawrence back. Great seeing him back for play. For me, the game, Jalen Ray absolutely just, I won't say stole the show, but 21 points and 4 rebounds, I think it is. He was just so effective at like that engine, just keeping them going. And at one point, if you notice, like Hadzabejovic, we said it in the first few games, he's like a Porzingis. He's such a big guy as a center, but very agile. So he was just cutting through, and you're looking at it thinking, there was a point, I made a note, it was like Q2, and he took the ball and he just did a pivot, rolled in from top of key, and just almost like he walked into the key. Walked in, laid up, and you just think, you can't stop that. And I think it was Azania talking to, like, yeah, there's no way you can put a body on that. And then he did it again. And you just think, this is not going to be good. But then Q3, they come out and like Surrey step up and they sped the game up. And that's what I think made the difference, because they pushed London. London didn't have Ovi Soko because he's currently serving a game ban. And I think they're missing another player from injury. But they were pushing him, and they couldn't keep with him. They couldn't keep with him at all. And Surrey just ran and ran. And I thought, yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah, and look, I'm glad you brought up that disqualification that he's got, because I can't find the incident online. And this is one of the things I think the SLB should jump on.
They don't want to televise the naughtiness, do they? Too much.
Embrace drama.
Yeah.
Again, it doesn't matter if it's good news or bad news, as long as they spell your name right. That's all that matters.
Yeah, all right.
And
all right, Elton.
I went to go back
yeah.
and try to find it, because I remember it was in a pretty heated game between was it Bristol? I can't remember.
It was Lions versus the Flyers. 20th of
Londoners versus the Flyers.
20th of October, and he got a penalty of 18 points, disciplinary points, fined a week's salary, and the game that he was going to miss, the last game he was going to miss, was the one which followed on from that at Caledonia.
That point system is quite amusing. Like, you get points weird. Going against you.
10,
and then
20, 25, 30, 35, 40, and you think, okay, so like if you're super naughty, what is it? What do you get then? What if you just turn around and just punch someone in the face? What?
Oh, that would be.
What is the number?
Season, I reckon.
I don't know, but that's what I mean.
They'll have that.
They said these penalty points, but none of us, but if you're sharing that information, it'd be kind of interesting for all of us to know, well, what's a 20-point? Like, so
they must have brought that forward then, because he was supposed to be missing the Caledonia game.
Yeah, but because he was out for whatever reason, and then when the judgment came out, he now officially is going to miss the Gladiators, or he missed the Gladiators game. But
maybe that was London Lions punishment. That was an internal thing. I don't know. I can't comment on that.
You think it was 20th of October that the Lions Flyers game was played, so it's not like it was a long time.
That's the only thing I would comment on. That is, it was just like, I'd like to see that incident and go, okay, is that worth a 1-match ban? But again, you have the blanket statements and stuff like that. But also, can I just say,
yes.
I don't know if I need to wait for the second London result here before I say this, but karma bites back.
Okay.
London Lions. And what I mean by that is, when you win gracefully.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm not having. I know you know exactly what I'm about to say.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I noticed the London Lions on the social media posts.
Yep.
Are very. We beat you. You, like, the focus is you lost the game.
Yep.
And I always look at that and go, isn't that a bit sad that your focus is on the other team lost rather than we've won?
There's a level of immaturity about it. Look, I know. Look,
yeah, if you said to me, who's doing the London Lions social media post, I'd be like, that's a young guy straight from university, and it's like, we win, we're going to rub your face in it, you're a loser.
Yeah.
And it's that American attitude. And you don't get that in America. In America, it's like, we won, boom.
Let's celebrate the success. Let's not rub it.
But there was a few posts, like, was it like they put a note was being passed in class and it just went
loser
L or something like that, and it was just like, and that I just thought karma it was bitten back a little bit here. Put your post out now. What are you going to put a little thing saying we got the piece of paper now? But I do think they need to work on that. Sorry, I just went off on them.
No, it's good. I like that. I like it. I'd also like to bring out something with free throws, because I like my free throws. Aaron Rye.
Oh, God.
Listen, Aaron Rye, 0 for 2 on his free throws. Andrew Lawrence, 2 for 3 during that game.
Wow.
Right?
And what would you get?
And me, I wouldn't even be on the court to get a position to even get fouled to get in there. But
you would, Mark. Do you know what you need?
Hadzabejovic, right, missed quite a few crucial free throws. I think it was 3 that he missed in Q4. And when you look at that, you think this becomes relevant as the week goes on, because it's the same. It sounds really silly, but you've seen it in the NBA and EuroLeague as well. The core fundamental things of just getting your rebounds, not losing the ball for turnovers and getting those steals. And
a lot of turnovers.
Yeah. And
a lot of turnovers
and
in the
hitting
league.
Your free throws. These are all like, yes, they have their own stat. Why? Because they're a fundamental of the game. That's how I look at it. If it's got a stat, it's It's
you do go on about free throws a lot.
Yeah, but because all of these games are like 3-4 points. And if you look at 3-4
you got a good point.
And they literally...
You miss 10 free throws in a game, that's won you the game.
100%. Absolutely. So you look at that and you go, if you're on home turf and you're losing that game and you think, what? It was unusual.
You could hit a free throw, Mark, though. You could get on the court and score. Do you know what you need?
What? Pigs that fly.
This is what you need.
The Force.
You need a lightsaber.
What would a lightsaber do for me on a basketball court? I'm absolutely fascinated.
You might get called for a foul.
What, for wielding a lightsaber? Yeah, I think I definitely would. But right, so look.
There we go.
That was your Thursday night game. Then we move on to Friday. So Newcastle hosting Cheshire Phoenix. Now, I wasn't expecting it to be as close as this.
In the Eagles' nest.
In the Eagles' nest, yeah. Virtu Motors Arena, as it's officially known as.
Everyone in the world knows that as the Eagles' nest, Mark.
Seneca Knight.
Fact.
Seneca Knight. Double, 18 points, 11 rebounds. That's the kind of stats you want to see. Josh Ward-Hibbert and Deshaun Atkins dunk. Did you see that?
The zone.
On Skylar White.
The zone, Mark.
Deshaun Allen Atkins. That's his name. And he the way, I mean, they said it was a dunk on Skylar White. It wasn't like over him, but Skylar went up to defend it and he was like not letting him stop him. Just pounded it in.
Mark, and that, do you know, I said there was moments this week where I thought this made British basketball. That was the moment that I was like, British basketball is here and people got to go and frickin' watch it and entertain it. That was, I think, is a great moment in the frickin' season.
Oh, it was. So
the crowd went nuts.
If people haven't seen the game, at half
check out that play.
At half time, it was 60-38. That was the and you're looking thinking Newcastle are up 60 at the half. Like this is pretty good. Q3 82-83. Yeah. But going up to Q4, about 2-3 minutes left, and you think, what happened?
Will be going, what's going on?
Yeah, hang on, we were up, so there were 22 points up, and you think, Cheshire absolutely, Cheshire absolutely surged, and it was one of those. It wasn't that Newcastle wouldn't necessarily do anything wrong because they were still scoring points, but they weren't as efficient. Whereas just Cheshire were just getting everything, if that makes sense. But Seneca Knight at the end, I'm going to highlight him. When the game was getting really, really close at one point, and they're really crucial, I think it's just under 2 minutes left, he got 3 free throws. Yeah, he got a double and then a single. But that kept them at a decent distance. That kept like a 3-point cushion.
Free throws, don't you, Mark?
That kept the 3-point cushion. If he didn't have that, they would have literally been 1 point up. And then when he hit the second one, it gave them the edge. If they didn't have that, I think that would have been a different. I think Cheshire might have won it because they'd had such a big lead and Cheshire had really swallowed that gap. And all of a sudden, it was
the momentum was ready to shift.
It
was ready to shift.
It already had. And I think but when you're at that point, you've got 2 minutes left in the game and you've got free throws that you're making it not only have a 1 play, you're making it into a 2-play deficit. So
good point.
And you look at that and you think, with 2 minutes left, you need that and you need to get that stop. And so he'd already played his guns out. So, total respect for that because that's a pressure shot when you're in there thinking, ugh. And we'd seen some of the people choking already in the day before. So,
got to shout out Josh Ward-Hibbert. It doesn't happen often in the games in the SLB, but he got a double-double with 15 points and 11 rebounds, Mark!
He did. I mean,
it doesn't happen often. I know it sounds weird, but you don't get double-doubles.
Man.
They're rare. They're rare to happen.
Yeah.
Let's just settle this. Alan Akins.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
His first name is DAZN, right?
Deshaun, isn't it?
I think it's DAZN. I'm sure that's how he pronounces it. DAZN.
Okay. Well, I'm just literally reading my note.
Because you told me about this video. Check this out. And they were all trying to work out how to say his first name. And then he came on the video and went, "It's DAZN." Remember that? Or am I getting mixed up with someone else?
No, that was when the players, they were saying, how do you say DAZN, which is what we watch the games on, DAZN. That's how you pronounce that. It's DAZN, not DAZN.
No, there's a player one, I thought.
No, they're asking all the players how you say that, and they're all going, he was one of the ones who went, DAZN. But that's not his name's Deshaun.
Oh, I must have seen a little clip of it and went, they're talking about how to pronounce his name.
For anyone who ever wants to market anything to Paul, you literally have a second. If you think young kids now have this short attention span, this is a testament to even shorter. You have that window, and he's going to take some of the information and then mash it with whatever's going on in here today. And a lightsaber, because why not? But yeah, that was a brilliant game. I really enjoyed that. And like Friday
can I
night
say
game,
that dunk, that monster dunk?
Yeah.
Everyone left the Eagles' nest talking about that moment.
Yep.
Like everyone was on their feet. And again, just want to go. That is my favorite, probably my favorite moment in the SLB so far. There's one angle where you see it from all the way down the court where it doesn't look as great. When you get the TV angle and see the crowd go nuts, best moment of the SLB so far for me personally.
Yeah, I think they've done well. I think they are getting, I'm not saying getting the feel for some of these angles, but they definitely
crowd are up for it. They're up for it.
The crowd were up for it. I think it was 3 shows back on the SLB, we mentioned some of the camera angles were good and some were, they could be improved. And it seems to be certain stadiums that are the ones that need.
Maybe that's what it is. Maybe the ones where sports halls, it's less.
Possibly, and I think there's something
flexibility.
Yes, I think flexibility and lighting, because if you remember back in the BBL days, when you looked at places like Plymouth, they had a completely almost pitch black place, and the court was so brightly lit it almost looked like it had a halo sort of effect around it on the TV, which in some ways looked good, but it had a sort of almost an aura, like a fuzz to it, and that's just because of the lighting in there. There's nothing you can do with that. So if you're in a sports hall, I guess they're working with what they work. But anyway, great game, and that was the first of 2 games on the Friday night. That's what I really liked. So the second game was Leicester Riders versus Manchester. I still have sounds really stupid, I still have a problem with just being called Manchester basketball. Do you know what I mean? You've got London Lions.
There's lots going around, like Manchester basketball, Bath basketball. Like there's loads. Like there's loads. It's kind of like the new thing, isn't it? I know the name basketball.
Yeah, but I don't. I think where everyone else has one, and you just think, especially as the fact that the Giants was such a legacy name in the whole of. I mean, there's a reason why Manchester's the National Basketball Performance Centre. You know, it was such a legacy, the whole thing.
I almost said something that would upset Manchester supporters then.
Oh, really?
I was trying to come up with a nickname for the Manchester team. They wouldn't like that one.
They wouldn't like that one.
We'll think of something beginning of...
Was that Snowflake?
No, I can't. No, I wouldn't say. I wouldn't want to upset the Manchester Massive.
Do it.
The Manchester Massive! There's one. You can have that. The Manchester Marauders. Manchester.
What about Titans? As they were Giants, now they could be Titans.
Manchester Titans. That's not too bad. I'm trying to think of something beginning with M. Doesn't have to be though, does it? But yeah, like anything. Like if you look at it, it's like Falkirk Fury basketball. They'll be doing the Fury basketball. It is kind of a running theme, isn't it?
Yeah, but there's certainly like
in the 80s you'd have club at the end.
Well, Cheshire Phoenix, but they used to be the Jets. So it's like there are some that have kind of changed their name completely. Others have, merged into the Filton Flyers, became Bristol Flyers, etc., etc. So yeah. I mean, I know it's a sidetrack, but I just always think it's a shame that the Giants thing's lost, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
Anyway, Leicester kicking off their perfect weekend.
Oh, I've just thought of an even better one.
Oh, no. Go on, Em.
Snowflake warning, please, Mark.
Snowflake warning.
If you get easily offended, turn off for the next 3 seconds.
Here we go.
The Manchester MILFs.
No, you can't have that. You can't. No, you can't have that. That's awful.
Dear.
What?
Yeah. Maybe, cut that one out, Mark.
No,
cut that one
that's
out.
not. It's just staying in. That Leicester took a victory over Manchester.
Which has probably upset a lot of people there.
Probably. Zach Jackson, massive force to be reckoned with.
At least half the audience.
Probably. Leading Leicester 20
It's
points,
a compliment,
5 rebounds,
if anything.
4 assists. Why is that a compliment? That's terrible. Look, Charles Thompson, Jalen Hunton, they shone for the Riders, but they dominated absolutely start to finish. There was a really good effort from, I've got Junior Madut and Nathan Ko. Got to give a shout out to them because they did a really good job in the second half. And my favourite clip was back in Q2. Duke Shelton, he did a really old school move, and they got the ball into him in the paint, and he had it and just turned and did this like 80s kind of finger roll and just sort of left it and went, there you go, popped it in there. I loved it. It sounds really stupid, but it was a proper. There was quite a few moves actually this whole week where I was looking at the rotation of the players and thinking, it looks like they're using some really old school moves. And I know it sounds silly,
fundamentals, Mark. Fundamentals.
Yeah, but the way in which that they are attacking in particular, and because everything's got so used to blowing out and creating space, doing it that way, it's almost that element of give you the ball, post up, or drive in and make space, give a ball to someone who's got momentum. People are like, what do we do with that? And they can't D them. They're like, oh, someone's got the ball and they're driving, we just leave them. Either we go for a giant swat or we foul them, and so we just leave them. And you go, it's like 3 points. It's weird. But there's quite a few of the games that just highlight that stuff. I was quite impressed. But yeah, so shout out to Duke Shelton because I loved that. I just thought it was just a really good, but pretty convincing win by Leicester. Manchester didn't really get any traction in that game. But, you know, you have games like that, don't you, sometimes where you think, well, there's a convincing winner.
Yeah, they're still searching for their first win.
They are. But, you know, that rolls into Saturday night, and Caledonia were playing London Lions. So the Lions went up to Glasgow.
They get it, Mark.
Yeah.
They get it, finally.
So it's probably the big win that Caledonia needed. Most definitely. I think they were... they've had a lot of changes up there. They've had a lot of people leave, a lot of reorganisation. So that must feel good. With the Lions obviously had a surprise loss, it's fair to say, against Surrey. And then obviously losing the and Caledonia fans were...
Caledonia, it's tough going down there. Sorry, up there. It's tough going up there.
So that's the thing. I think it's tough to travel there. And last season, I think it's fair to say Newcastle and Caledonia, it was a case of if you're going up north for either of those two, it's like the crowds are going to be up for it. It's going to be noisy. They're going to give it, that sort of thing. Caledonia struggled at the beginning of this season and in the trophy. They've had a lot of changes, and I think they've taken some time to get feel. But, you know, if you're going to get your first win, getting against the Lions, that's got to feel good.
Oh, yeah. Last year's league champions.
79-67 they won. Trevon Barnes starring with 13 points. Now,
nice.
But I think that's interesting, don't you? 13 points, 8 rebounds, I should say. Fraser Malcolm, Patrick Whelan hitting crucial shots, all getting like 10, 11, 13 points. But when we see some games, you think someone's going to have a 25, 30 point game or whatever. The highest scoring person in Caledonia is 13 points. but it was spread all thinly. So a lot of people with 7, 9, 13, 11, 10. Everyone was contributing. It was a real team thing.
Team effort in East Kilbride, Mark.
It was. But I will also say London really struggled. They looked like a completely, everyone was out of sync. And it seems that they kept swinging the ball to Aaron Wright, and you go, he can't be the only go-to. He can't be the only offense, because people will shut that down eventually. You can't just make him the only offense. And
it's interesting though. You go undefeated, and then you get 2 in a row. It's like, hang on, what has just happened? Yeah.
Well, Jaden Dallaire and Aaron Wright, neither of them, they've been really, really effective up till now. Neither of them found a rhythm, and they've been 15 to 20 points some of the times. Has I've got to get the name right. Let me do the name right again.
Say it nice and slow.
Hadzibejovic.
Easy.
Yeah, almost indescribable from the previous games. The last one where they played and lost to Surrey. I mean, he plays some really key roles and he does some really cool moves, but then he disappears and you think, oh, like you've had these moments and then sort of just falls by the wayside. Same thing happened there. You think these are the games that I would expect him to step up. And they had Sham last year, and they used to whip it in. Big guy centers, the same thing we've said before. I'm wondering if they're going to be doing the same thing with him, because it just seems that he's that kind of player. He seems to fit that kind of mold, but the consistency wasn't there. That's the bit I think is quite surprising. And you need it, because all of these teams, you said it even before the league started, like we're going to see a much more level league now, and everyone's going to be fighting for like a 4 or 5
it's
points.
Tight.
Yeah.
Well, that's why this week was so good with London losing too. I don't mean that to be disrespectful to London, but last year was a blowout and no one looked at the top of the league. No. The excitement came for the 3-4 teams vying underneath it. So, to have it tight at the moment, like, the top 5 teams, with the next 6th from 7th looking to potentially get in. I mean, look, it is so early in the season, but it was good. But Caledonia getting their first win. So it's good.
I just want to highlight this score. 36-28. That was the halftime score. 36-28.
Yeah.
You wouldn't expect London to be held to 28 in the first half. That's a low score.
That's 7, let's say, layups. 7 layups per quarter.
Exactly. And then you go, Q3 is 58-40. And when you looked at it, you went, so you've only really improved by 12 points in a quarter. They're low quarter. And
like I said, you go to East Kilbride, those guys play D. They play defense.
They were kept out and they were flustered. And I think a lot of teams, I don't use a wording your brother would use now. They were exposed, I think. I think Caledonia showed a lot of the league, this is how you can play against London. And I think Surrey did the same thing as well. And it really highlighted, here's the weak spots, which if I was London, I'd be quite worried now, because it's very glaring, the way that they got round.
Who they got next?
Oh, I'll have to have a look. I haven't looked. I have not looked.
That'll be interesting to see if they got next.
Well, it won't be in the trophy because they didn't qualify for that.
Harsh. But look, Caledonia, look, they've done good. They've got their first win of the season. Yep. They're off and they're gunning now. So hopefully we'll see something from my Scottish brothers. My weird bands. Let's go.
Oh, God. The other game on Saturday night for those who were watching.
We're talking about Caledonia. We've got to talk about the new coach. Got to talk about the new coach.
Yeah. Robbie Pearce, Caledonia's coach.
What a signing. I mean,
well, he's ex-Chester Jets, and he was the guy who took them to win the league back in the 2000s, I think it is. And then
2000. But
when they reformed as the Phoenix, he did a couple of seasons there as well, I think.
Yeah. But he's one of the most successful and respected coaches in top flight English basketball. So what a great signing for them. But also, just going through...
And his assistant coach as well.
Yes. So James Hamilton. So he's bringing him as well. So, let's see. All eyes on Caledonia. And see what...
and the interim coach...
See what comes out from now.
Interim coach has now gone back to Spain. Yeah. But that must be difficult if you're an interim coach, in fairness, because it's like, I want to do well. I'm using this as a good platform to show, hey, I can step up to it. But at the same time, you got to fill a gap very quickly with people, but know that then you might get usurped. It's tricky.
Yeah, if he got win, that's your moment. Yeah, that's your moment. That's your thing, it's a bit of a... You roll the dice.
Right.
The Manchester Maidens.
No. Why is it about women? You had the Manchester MILFs and then the Manchester Maidens. What's going on?
The Manchester Milkmen.
The other game on the Saturday night, we're going to move on from this, is Surrey versus Bristol.
I'm not happy with Bristol, Mark.
Really?
They've upset me.
This was probably my favourite game to watch.
Yeah?
Yeah. Because...
Can I just tell you why Bristol have upset me? Do you know I'm looking at going on this tour?
Yes.
My UK tour
yeah.
of British basketball.
Yeah.
It was going to start in Bristol.
Yeah.
Over the Christmas period. And I was like, brilliant, let's go. Because I'm trying to tie it in with going around for work and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, here we go, Bristol, this is it. They have got one game in December, and then they're on the bloody road until like January 14th or 10th or something like that. And it's like, oh,
they basically don't like you. That's what it is.
Well, they're not at home, so I can't come and watch them. But yeah.
Yeah, it's schedule's a bit unusual, that's for sure. Look, do you know why I like this game?
Because it had an absolutely massive, insane dunk in it.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. The outrageous dunk and the huge rejection as well. But we're not even talking about that. I love it because when I was watching it, and I think you'll understand what I'm saying, it felt in some ways like an NBL Div 1 game where it was really end to end and it was really fast paced and it was really, everyone was invested in the game. Everyone really wanted to win. And when you see, like, it's not just a derby game, but it felt a bit like a street ball game mixed with I don't know what it was. There was something about it. It felt like more like a grassroots game.
I think you summed it up in the Surrey against London game. You said the tempo.
Yes, but yeah,
and then straight after that, we were talking about the youth in the Super League at the moment, and the American influence. I think that's what it is, Mark.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's just the way that game, but those two teams are actually quite similar, I think. And it was 84-88. The Bristol Flyers took the win, but when you watching that game, it was like, I don't know which way this is going to go. I mean, Surrey came out. But then it was, okay, they're Bristol going to come back into it. Just fun fact, Surrey was 7 for 7 for free throws in the Q1.
Oh, my God.
I loved it.
Let it go.
7 for 7.
Let it go.
7 for 7, love it. Absolutely love it.
I bet you lie in bed at night just going...
Free throw.
Oh, one free throw there, that was nice.
Look, Keddy Johnson, absolutely.
Oh, there's another free throw. That was good.
Keddy Johnson, 32 points.
Brick!
7 rebounds, 2 assists. Mervyn James, Surrey couldn't...
He was quality.
Yeah, he was quality. But Surrey couldn't, I don't know, just get it over the line, if that makes sense. It was like... It wasn't that Bristol won the game, and it wasn't that Surrey lost the game. I genuinely thought that was a...
Evenly matched.
It was such an evenly matched game. Yeah. It was like no one did something who lost it. But there was, at 7 minutes, Keddy Johnson, crucial in Q4, 7 minutes. He had some free throws. They were crucial. Honestly, I was watching this week writing these notes like the free throws, the poignancy of these free throws is so. But that kept them the three. Then because of where that gave them the spacing, when that dunk came in with 40 seconds left, it was then a 5-point game. And you go, if he hadn't have kept his cool and done those again, it's the same thing that happened in the other game. You go, it shows you how crucial these free throws can be. And yes, I joke about it, but I just think sometimes it's unacceptable when you see people like airballing it or bricking it, funny enough, I watched the Orlando Magic thing a little while ago, the 30 for 30 about, when they went to the finals and Nick Anderson.
The Magic and Penny one.
Yeah, which is a good one. Definitely go watch it if you haven't seen it, because it's really interesting. But yeah, just that whole thing. And when you look at it and way they're describing how Nick Anderson's face changes as it's like this happened, then this happened. I'm not going to spoil it for everyone because it's brilliant how it's told. But when they this is not funny anymore, and you're like, yep.
So and, Smiley does.
And you see people sometimes, I'm too casual with these free throws. Like they're like, yeah, and you think, no, I want you to be like Michael Scott taking a free throw. I
think it's a lot easier to talk about it than do it. Now imagine Nick Anderson at the free throw line.
Yep.
In the finals, the pressure on that shot, the mental state he's in, it's so easy for me and you to go, it's free throws, you should get it in. It's just, I don't know. But look, Mark, can I say that dunk by Mervyn James?
Yeah.
First of all, I want to highlight the steal by Andrew Lawrence, followed by the assist to Mervyn James. It was just pure, you know what I mean? Pure aggression. Bloody Charles Barkley, Sean Kemp, boom.
But that's what I'm saying about the passion of that game. The whole game felt like one of the commentators actually said something like, "Oh, it feels like Rucker Park." I was thinking like an and one thing. And I was like, "Yeah, do you know what? That
was good."
I love it.
It was a great moment, and it was when the crowd interaction of that moment. It's just like. That is how you're going to build British basketball, with those moves of just like I said, those absolute powerhouse dunks. I think
the passion and athleticism, when you combine that all together, you don't even have to follow basketball to appreciate that something just happened there and that was awesome. You don't have to know the game. You can watch it and go, that was impressive athleticism. And then when you see the passion and everything and what it means to people, that just, we love basketball, so it's easy for us to get excited about it. But honestly, when you see the crowds, like you said, and you hear them like, it's like, more people need to experience it. You got to highlight
the steal and assist by Andrew Lawrence.
Yeah, more
you got to highlight
that.
But he is a really nice guy, Andrew Lawrence.
Yeah.
And what I really like about him is in his spare time, he's working with the youth team, in National League Div 3, helping them develop and working with those guys. And he don't have to do that. He don't have to do it, but he is. And so when I saw that steal and he was playing well against London and stuff like that, it was like, I love to see that. I hope he does well. I hope he does well every week. Anyway,
he's definitely.
Where are we going next, Mark?
Yeah, he's definitely consistent with him, no question. So this is only up till Saturday night. We've still got a whole Sunday. So on Sunday, we've got Manchester versus Sheffield Sharks. Now, this one, I won't say.
I'm not going to comment on any names, Mark.
You're not going to comment any names.
The Manchester Massive. Have I said that one yet?
You're going to call it like Manchester Monkeys yet? No.
The Manchester Machine Gunners. The Manchester Machetes.
No, I don't we want to promote knife crime. That's not ideal.
That's probably wrong, that one. Go on, you talk and I'll think.
Well, look, Manchester struggled. And from the previous game that we watched, when you saw them in this one against the Sharks, although it was, 10-point deficit, or, they lost by that, but I don't think the Sharks were at all gunning in that game. Not by a long way. I think personally, Sharks have got a few things they need to sort out to get together. They don't look like a team that's completely in sync, if that makes sense. You see some of these teams and it's just like it flows. I think, a perfect example. I think they really work at Bristol. They work really well together as teams. And there's others where there's like more individual players. And I thought Sheffield were going that way, but I don't know. It just didn't feel like that to me. But Manchester don't have it, which is just really odd. But look, Roddy Chatham III delivered a great performance, 17 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists. And the Sharks have just got a good offense. It wasn't necessarily about their defense, it was more about their offense. And when you watched it, I couldn't really see a way that Manchester were going to overcome it. So the fact it was only a 10-point deficit, I think they should take that and go, all right, we've lesson learned there. So, not the best weekend for Manchester, really, 2 losses. But
can I just highlight one thing from that not that game, but at that time, was the hardest player for me, I think, to say his name is Drake Jeffries. I had to so concentrate to say that. Drake Jeffries.
Drake Jeffries.
That's so hard to say. Drake Jeffries. That's so hard. Anyway, he said something in the press, and I thought it was such an amazing and inspiring quote that I just wanted to share it. So he said, he said, if I had any advice for young players, it would be to stay ready. You never know when your time is coming. If you stay ready, your life could change before you know it. What a great piece of advice you just given out there.
That's brilliant.
That's great.
Well done, Drake.
Absolute inspiration. And the reason I love that quote is because I get so many young guys come up to me and say, do you have any advice for, becoming a professional player and stuff like that? And it's like, you know what? That's what I should be saying to them. Stay ready.
Yeah.
I don't know why they're asking me.
It's the old Eminem one shot, one opportunity kind of thing, isn't it? Where you just have to be in the microwave and, obviously very famous player, but those players who are the ones who come off the bench and get the 6th Man of the Year award, and you go, they're probably one of the most vital players on that team, because yes, they are. The coach knows. Oh, I need an injection of whatever they can do. Bring them in, and that's what it's. But I say I'm not trying to be harsh on Sheffield, because I think they've got all the components there, but I genuinely think they just didn't really dig in that much against Manchester. It almost felt like
you're out of order, Mark. You're out of order.
No.
Let's talk about Sheffield Chart head coach Leon's getting his 300th. I just spat when I said that.
Yep,
300th championship win in top flight basketball.
That's very cool. Congratulations on that. That's absolutely brilliant. Congratulations, coach. Fantastic. Thing is, you've got to come to a point where you've got those milestones and you think, well, what's next? It's 400, it's 500. How many, each one of those, I bet if you asked him, do you remember this game? They'd be able to recall it straight off the bat.
I love Paul James's one where it's like he's got more wins than some franchises. No, he's got more personal wins in top flight British basketball than with the exception of 3 or 4 teams. That's funny. That's great.
Well, that's a long tenure for sure. I mean, I dare I say it's like a LeBron stat, isn't it? If you've been around that long and you're that tenured,
longevity,
your longevity pays off. But look, final game of the week, and I'll be honest, I had it on in the background. I was cooking dinner.
You're a disgrace, Mark.
I was.
You should be looking at the game, not even blinking, studying it.
No.
Bettering yourself.
Do you know what? I saw it, Cheshire versus Leicester, and I thought, I'm pretty much convinced that Cheshire are just going to romp this. I don't know why. I just had this feeling it was, and totally wrong. Totally wrong.
Jalen Hunter on a goddamn mission. He was.
Yeah.
Double. 14 points, 12 assists. Mark. Contributing to Leicester Riders claiming their win. He was on a goddamn mission. He was like, there is no way we are losing this game today.
Look, it's really interesting where they're all sitting in the league at the moment. And I pulled up you can't see it really well on this.
That's right. I've got the league in front of me, Mark. I've got my notes here.
Yeah.
You're right.
Well,
we're good.
What I was going to say is, if you look on this here,
that's right.
Yeah. But what's really nice about this is, and I'm going to give a shout out to TNT Sports here. Yeah. It's a shout out to them, and also an interesting fact, right? So what they do is they put it on here.
Nice. I can see it straight away.
Yeah. And they do previous games. So you can look at it and you go, are they on a streak? Are they not? So for us doing the show, it's
love it.
Brilliant, because we can go, they're on a streak. That's brilliant.
Well,
interesting though. No, I've got to say this.
The league website do that, but you have to go and find it.
See what that is. What it says if they're on a streak or not.
You have to go and look. Yeah, but you have to go into the actual team to see it.
Exactly. So you go in each team. Whereas this one,
much better.
That's so
much better.
Honestly, SLB, put that on your main thing. That is brilliant. Because all you got is you played wins and losses. That's all you need. They put a percentage next to it, which I thought was a bit rubbish. You don't really need that. But the thing that I noticed was on there, it says on the top, MK Lions. And I was looking at it thinking, well, that's their old name. Why is it say MK Lions? And the only thing I can think of is that because London Lions used to be in Milton Keynes, and then it relocated in 2012 to the Copper Box where they play now after the Olympics. That's when they relocated, but there were Milton Keynes Lions. So I can only assume they're pulling up a tab or link somewhere, but it says MK Lions on there.
You update their database.
Yeah, they need to update that, TNT. So come on, even the multi-global
edit.
The multi-conglomerates get it wrong occasionally, but I loved that table. I thought that was a really, really good thing. And, that's the sort of thing that not just...
You want to see. That's what you want to see.
Yeah, but when you look at that way, you go, Manchester haven't won in the last 4 games. Caledonia have won only 1 of the last 4 games.
But they have won their last one. That's the important. And you got a new coach in.
Yeah.
I think Caledonia is about to turn around.
You reckon?
I reckon Christmas, this is the turnaround. They're going to work their way up.
As it stands, week 4, you got the Lions at the top.
2 losses, though, Mark. The league's going to change.
Yeah.
Newcastle.
They got 5 wins, 2 losses. Newcastle behind them,
dominating.
4 wins, 1 loss. They're certainly on a roll for sure.
Look, you were being a little critical of Sheffield, and they're 3rd.
That's why I was saying it. It wasn't that I was being critical like with them. What I was saying was that score where it says 10 points, that wasn't really representative. I don't think. I think Sheffield had a lot more in the tank. It was just that they almost didn't need to push. They were just, I think they've got way more that they could go for.
When you're away from home, sometimes it's a bit harder.
Yeah.
Especially, I'm not sure how they try. I'm assuming they're all on a bus. When you're sat on a bus for 5-6 hours, how far is Sheffield from Manchester? That's not too far, is it? 3 hours?
Yeah, 2.5, 3 hours. Yeah, not too bad.
Yeah, so, I
feel
sorry for Bristol. Imagine Bristol. Even Plymouth. Plymouth. We got Caledonia away. All right.
Yeah, if you were in Plymouth and then you were going to Caledonia, that was a challenge. Or actually, Newcastle will probably be harder, depending on if the airports are servicing or not. Because for those of you listening who are not in the UK, thank you for listening. Awesome. But maybe drop us a DM and tell us where you're listening from. That'd be cool. But getting to and from places in the UK is not really straightforward. We have Roman roads, so a lot of them are pretty twisty, and a lot of the time it's getting a coach because you can't do a direct flight. So Or if you do on a flight, sometimes you miss the flight, like some players.
Can I say I miss seeing Plymouth's name in this list?
Yeah, 100%. You look down and you see that's a league and it's 9 teams. It should be 10. It really should be, and it's a great shame.
To think they'll come. I like to think they'll come back next season, and it was just the legality that stopped them from doing it this season. Because I mean, they had what, 2 weeks, 3 weeks to get this whole like league together.
Yeah, within a month, this whole got
financially and legally.
Yeah, within a month, this whole thing got turned around, and a lot of people might say, "Oh, but they already had things booked out." But you go, it's a separate contract. You've got to draw up new terms. It'd be like saying I bought one house 1 week and I'm going to buy a new house the next week and getting surveys and everything all done. And like, it's just a different, cross the T's, dot the I's sort of thing. That for me, Cheshire's the one that's really interesting because they look like, okay, they're missing Aaron Rye, missing the Quincy this year. So you think, wow, they've been hit by losing some talent. But maybe they don't have a good start with the trophy, and they've lost the last 3 games in the championship. They're just not finding their form at the moment. Whereas we're seeing glimpses from Surrey and from Bristol, and where it's 2 apiece.
And look, Surrey only just lost their last game.
Oh,
they only just lost
100%. So I think,
and if they win that, they're possibly in 5th. I mean, I don't know the fors and against like points wise, but potentially they're in 5th if they win that game. Sorry, they are in 5th. They'd be 4th potentially.
If you're Newcastle and Sheffield at the moment, you're in good positions because you've got systems that work, and
Newcastle feels like a championship team.
Yes, it does. I think
that's how it feels.
I think London, it's interesting because you go. We saw this week in the NBA. We saw Cleveland Cavaliers. I think they were like 17-2. I think it was, or 17-3. And they got 2 losses from Atlanta Hawks. And you go, that's unbelievable. Like, of all the teams, it's Atlanta who beat them. And yeah, Atlanta then lost to Washington, who are the bottom of the league.
It's just like the matchups.
It's
just the matchups.
It doesn't make it so when.
But then once one team finds out that matchup,
it's that bogey. Yeah, I think Orlando used to have it with I want to say the Lakers or someone like that. It used to be a real bogey team. They just couldn't. They would never be like, they go on the road. They go to LA and they do really well. There's a few bogey teams around the league. Where it's common for the underdog to always beat them, just for no reason. But yeah, I love that. And this season now, when you look at it and you look at these like little dots and everything, you think it's looking kind of balanced. That everyone's 3-4 wins.
But can I say, I love moments, and I'm not going to call it. But
yep.
Let me just go back to my notes. Alan Aikens dunk.
Yeah.
And I was like, that is what British basketball is about. More so because the crowd went nuts.
Yep.
As well.
Yep.
At that moment, I couldn't help. Popped in my head. I was like, Newcastle going to win the league.
Wow.
I'm not saying it.
What?
I'm not saying it.
You literally just said it.
I'm not saying it. I
just said it.
No, I said what I thought.
So
I didn't actually say it.
You're saying that Newcastle are going to win?
I at that moment, it felt like that it could be Newcastle's year. It was like an amazing, and you're like, whoa, like sometimes you just think, hang on, there's some magic in the air. You don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
And that's what that moment felt like.
Yeah. I mean,
you feel the magic in places sometimes. And you're like, I don't know what it is.
If you have a top 5 sort of moments, and I know we did positives and negatives like last week and stuff, but that's in one of the top moments of this week, without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah.
And for just
that'd be my top moment.
Yeah. And for top game easily to watch, I'd be tossed between the Surrey London game or the Surrey and Bristol game. And I think that's interesting because what's the common component? Surrey.
Yeah.
And it's because of the way that they approach that game and the energy they bring into it. I think it's really exciting. So that's
Hero of the week, Camerson Gooden.
Cam Gooden.
Surrey against London.
Yep.
He's got to be here. He's got to be up there for Hero of the week.
Yep. And what was it? Look, Leicester won both games this week. They're most resilient team. Best comeback effort probably was effort would probably be actually Cheshire against Newcastle when they were scrabbling to try and get that win, and
they were up
Newcastle.
For it. It was just a real physical.
It was a fight.
Let's have it.
Yep.
So, but that's why the crowd interacted the way they did at the end. It was like, yeah.
Well, look,
right.
I'd say I'll not say the losers, but I think the ones this week who had the biggest challenges, definitely Manchester struggling on the offense. London struggling on offense as well, and London in particular I highlighted was turnovers in particular. They've really struggled this week. A lot of just loose balls or not getting the pass.
There's a lot
right,
of turnovers in the league, Mark.
I know.
There's a lot of young players that I think
in particular,
there's a lot of turnovers.
For them being the top, everyone knows the drill. If you're at the top, people are going to look at why are they at the top. And it's interesting that they lost the last two games this week and they've had all of these issues, which is just around some of these fundamental things like free throws, like holding onto the ball, like getting some rebounds. And you go, that's not indicative of a team that you expect to be at the top. So is that because there's some players sat out, has that changed the dynamic of the team a lot? Manchester just can't. They're
Manchester are holding up the
0-4. Yeah, I mean,
but look, let's face it. They were the last to come into the Super League?
Yeah,
I think they were, and I think this is just a season of look, we're in. Because if Manchester don't go in, you got 8 teams. It's like, you know what I mean? Is 8 too few? So when they got in, it's like nice, okay. Any less than 9, you're like, I'm not sure.
I got a theory.
What's your theory? I think they're in it for this season, and it's admirable, brilliant. Next year, it's like, right, that we're going to try and go for it again.
I'm potentially.
Are you saying they're going to win the league?
No. I'm thinking next season, potentially.
You're going to buy Manchester?
If I won the lottery, I still wouldn't buy Manchester. Portsmouth will have their own team, and we relocate them. But we did it from Telford the first time round, so why not do it the second time? Look, I think, wouldn't it be wonderful if we went from 9 teams to 12? And the reason I say
think
that,
we're seeing glimpses of it.
Well,
yeah.
Because
seeing
of
glimpses.
because of the cup, and they're doing here's 6 extra teams that we're putting in. You go, well, out of 6 teams, they're not likely to just add 1. They probably add 2. But why not add 2? Why not add 3? Because then at least you've got 12 full teams in the league. That would be that would be enough with an expansion. And the teams you talk about are like people like Reading Rockets or Essex Rebels, and you go, they've got facilities, they've got full established whole sustainable backgrounds, which is the thing that we heard Paul say, and all the other the owners, that's what they're really focused on.
Paul Blake, Newcastle Eagle owner.
Yes, sir.
Actually, just thinking about it, in the Australian
and Full Club Fury would be the third one potentially.
I think they've got 10.
NBL has 10. But
but
the reason I'm saying
yes,
NBL,
I agree. 12 would be amazing. 20 would be nice.
I think
20 would be nice.
Yeah, I think it could work in the UK based on the fact and this is going to sound silly, we've been talking about Australia, but I think, I know you've brought it up before about the football crowds. And in Europe, particularly, when we had Gorgeous George come on, talk about Panathinaikos, he was explaining how, certainly in like Greece, you have Panathinaikos Football Club and the basketball club, and the supporters almost like cross mingle in a way. They're supporting their city and their town. That, so it's very geographically based. That suits the UK, I think, because if you look at, it's very unlikely you're going to get someone living down here who's going to support Sheffield. Unless you're born and bred there, it's unlikely. We're more likely to support a more geographically local team. You see what I mean?
I agree. No, I agree. Yeah, I agree 100%.
And when you see Australia, the same as America, one of the things that stands out is that, yes, they have 10 teams because they have like an Auckland, I think it is. They have Tasmania. They have Melbourne, Sydney, Perth. I can't remember the other couple. But they're the big main cities in Australia. Other Brisbane, than that, they're much smaller townships. In America, it's the same thing. You have, like Phoenix. You have all of these, Salt Lake City for Utah, and you have all of these big, massive metropolises. In the UK, we don't have that. We have more. There's Manchester, but Cheshire's actually quite close to Manchester, in the same as you also got Liverpool's a massive city. That's right there as well. So where's,
Yeah. No, I agree. You could.
And we need a Welsh team. We absolutely need something in Cardiff, for example. Like we have to. Because if you look,
they're doing it with the
Met Archers,
the Women's Super League.
Exactly, and that's what I mean. When you look at the Women's Super League, and then you look at the Men's Super League, you go, Essex Rebels are right there, Cardiff Met Archers are right there. Won't take much, I'd imagine, if they have teams that they could put in there. They're showing they've got the sustainability. And my question to you, if you were one of the people who could pull the trigger on the league, is a genuine question. Would you sacrifice having a standard of saying you need to have X amount of supporters to attend for the basis of introducing new teams, and almost put it so that, okay, if you can only have 600 or 700 because of the venue you have currently, but within a certain period of time, you need to show that you're going to build into it, if that makes sense. Like you can grow into it. Because otherwise, you're kind of asking someone to say, hey, you've got to get a bigger arena before you can join. And how's that?
Yeah, you need 10 mil.
Exactly.
But also,
so you're automatic. It's kind of like the Formula One, and like Chrysler have just joined Formula One, and they just, I think it's 450 million. I think they paid to buy into just racing. That's their buy-in cost. Then they have to field a team. So I mean, they got a lot of money, but if you do that, you have a situation like Formula One where only the really profitable big teams are the ones who call the shots, and everyone else is kind of just like scratching around. So you look at Cheshire; they don't have somewhere at the moment.
Was there a question? You said you're going to ask a question.
Would you do that? So,
was that for our listeners or for me?
I want to say both. If you're listening to this, what would you do? Because at the moment, there's certain rules and certain requirements by teams on
what is it, 800,000?
No,
you need.
Well, it was supposed to be well over.
Was it gone up 1,800?
It was.
I can't remember.
I want to say it was like 1,200 or something like that. It was that sort of figure. But what was interesting was that Cheshire, Surrey, Bristol, and until the Sheffield Stand was built, then they were in the same situation. And Gladiators were as well. So you go, well, hang on a minute, there were actually a lot of teams that were well below that cap. It was only the teams who had the big venue who actually could access that. So it was actually like the Manchesters and Newcastle. But
I like the football idea.
Well,
I like the fact that but you know what?
How many people go to the Portsmouth football? Off the top of like your head,
20k.
That's how many they could seat. But how many do they get as an average? Like 15,000.
20k.
Oh, they fill it out.
Yeah. Even in League One, they'd fill that out.
Okay. So on the basis of that, if you look at that and say, I'm trying to get less than 10% of those people attending who clearly like sport to come and watch an event.
Well, that's used to be the thing, didn't it? Back in the 80s, you had that, but also you have got another pool of people who might not like football but preferred a better sport, like basketball, and that's why they would go to basketball. However, by saying that, you've just triggered something in my mind, which is I think it would be amazing if football and basketball kind of came together. Imagine like you've got, a Liverpool basketball club and they're wearing the same basketball, like same colours as the football side. That would look great. And then you go down to someone like, what's another example?
You should ask about that. I mean, that's a Paul Blake question, isn't it? Because obviously that's where Newcastle came from, where the football club and the club
they didn't keep they don't have the Newcastle stripes.
No. But what I mean is that's originally they were Sunderland, and then they moved to and then the ownership was the same. Now,
but I think that would be great.
Yeah, but who does that?
You know what the challenge is?
Who does it at the moment in the league?
No one.
Yes, they do. There's one team that does that.
Who? Bristol. Yeah. But
rugby, football, basketball.
You know what the challenge with that is, and Portsmouth is an amazing example. And I'm not
space.
I'm gonna be really. Do you know you have football fans who are thick?
Here we go.
And they're idiots.
Snowflake warning.
Snowflake warning. You have some football fans who are just thick idiots. And I don't mean to say it like that, but when their football team isn't doing well.
Yes.
Oh, you got the bloody basketball team. You should be doing the basketball. Put all the money in the football. That's what you're going to get.
Yep.
And the pressure will go on the owners to go, hang on. And we saw it at Portsmouth. You got the best team, back-to-back champions, 86, 87, 88. Arguably one of the greatest teams ever assembled in British basketball.
For talent-wise,
you pretty much had the England team in Portsmouth, and then bam, overnight it goes. Portsmouth FC weren't doing very well at that moment, and you had those idiots. Football team, Basel team, get all the money off those guys. And like, I don't know. That's why I think you would have challenge, because you have that pressure that comes with it. But your question, Mark, is a great question about other teams coming into the league. And you've said his name, Paul Blake. Like when you meet Paul, he's a really switched on guy. He's a businessman. He knows what he's talking about. He's got a successful model in front of him. Leicester will, same thing. Caledonia, really good examples of this as well. What their setups. And it's, you know what? I can talk rubbish about it, but those owners, they're the ones who will be the true, amazing, positive, and accurate answers that you'll get. And I think only those guys can answer these questions.
I mean, the way I see it, when you look at the Surreys, when you look at the Bristols and Cheshires, when you look at those games, and the crowd is behind it and everyone's pumped and excited, what is being shown on TV, and everyone you got the noise coming through now and everything, you go, yeah, you're selling that. You are selling. You've got not only a great product, but you're selling something there that people go, I want to experience that. I want to sit there and watch that. And and if it means that you have to get these teams like Reading or Essex, who may only have a capacity of say 600-700 people, or up to 1,000, for example, I think you should go. But if you're going to get 1,000 loyal people in there making tons of noise every week, that's sustainable. Let them in.
I think the challenge is the finances, because you got players that you're paying. So let's say you're playing, I don't know, let's just say you're playing players 20 grand per year. Okay, so you let's say that's $250,000 you need per season on players. Okay, well, some of these guys are going to have flats or houses or cars, or
it's about
all of this that comes in.
It's about 400k, isn't it? 450
per season.
Like
So when these guys are looking at saying, look, you need this, they're looking at going, you need to be getting an income and settling out these arenas to be a sustainable model, to be paying the organization and all that. And look, even some of the successful ones, they still have people doing free. There's a lot of goodwill in basketball.
Oh God, yes, massive.
There's not that money.
Hey, look, I think in fairness, we can expand that to all British sports. There's a lot of people who do cycling, running races, or gymnastics, or any of those sort of things. There's a lot not badminton though; they can burn all the nets. But there's a lot of people who give up a lot of their free time, and it's not just in the I'm there on the game day. It's setting it all up. It's prepping it all. It's organising. It's making the phone calls. Getting all those logistical things in the background for people to turn up on the day, watch for an hour or so, 2 hours, and then go home. There's a whole thing behind it that people give just to make that happen.
I think it's very achievable.
I mean, you do it at the Force. You do it at Portsmouth Force.
We've worked out really quickly over a few seasons. It's production, isn't it? Yes. You're putting on a production. You have the court doing it, and it's a show, and it's a massive production going alongside it.
Yeah.
And I think once people see it, they enjoy it and they come back. You know, we've had very few people have come to it and gone, they're not coming back. And I do think people like Basketball England should come down. They should see what we're doing. I've been more than happy to it with a couple of clubs, showing them the equipment and stuff like this. More than happy to show them the software. Look, we're a National League Div 3 team getting 500 people to home games. No one else is doing that.
No.
Like, come on. And if that went through the divisions, I think the basketball would elevate across the UK.
Yeah, if like anything, isn't it? As soon as it becomes, I won't say unavailable, but you say the tickets are already sold out. What for next week? Yeah, they're sold out. You go, oh,
we're not a million miles away. And National League Div 3 going.
No,
we might have to start turning people away. You know, we might have to look for a venue that can cater for 800.
I was sat in the stand this week with my daughter, and like we were sat there, and I was thinking, I might say, just come and sit on my lap, and you know she's still little enough that can do that, and just have a person have a seat, just because people were walking up and down, like trying to find them. But you go, there were groups of like 3 or 4, like whole families are going, which is great. You know, you want families to go, don't you? But just think, yeah, it's becoming a problem. So yeah, I'd love to see what's going to happen next, but. Yeah, I've really been enjoying this. So just for everyone who doesn't want to, I might say not get confused, but this weekend is different for the Super League.
What's going on, Mark? Why is it different?
Well, because I've already told you. Because we've got the thing going off, the whole trophy games.
Yeah.
So it's the semi-finals.
Who's playing, Mark?
That's literally, I'm getting them back up again because I've got my old notes from last week when I put it in there, or a week before. But I'm using this. It's taking ages. Oh, come on. Load. So, trophy. And the semi-finals are going to be, it's going to be Bristol and Cheshire and Newcastle and Leicester.
I can't wait for that Newcastle-Leicester game.
But what's good is...
that is going to be... I can't wait.
So, that is on the 6th, okay? So, Bristol versus Cheshire are playing on the 6th. And at the same time, Newcastle and Leicester are also playing, okay? Then, so that's on the Friday, I believe. And then on the Sunday, it's going to be Cheshire versus Bristol and Leicester versus Newcastle again. So... they literally, it's like they're like a back-to-back.
Can't wait. Like I said, that in particular, that one, I'm just like, that is going to be tasty.
So
that is going to be tasty.
So those are and that's what I'm saying about Cheshire. That's why I say it's really interesting. They started off because we played the trophy first and then got into the championship. It's almost like they used all their energy in the trophy, and in the championship they've kind of hit the wall with it. Whereas on the other hand, London Lions got no traction in the trophy at all, but they started off really well in the championship. So it kind of, I wonder how that layout's disrupted some people.
Let's see who's going to be the first team to win silverware for the Super League basketball.
So at the same time, on the same days, there are 2 games that are being played on the 6th. It's Sheffield Sharks versus Caledonia. So that'll be a good game, because if the Gladiators are taking their win and they roll forward, that might be an interesting one. And it's
new coach.
It's going to be new coach, but it is in Sheffield though, so it's going to be an away game. That'll be tough.
Hey, I know those Sheffield
But 2 days.
Sheffield guys going down into the Shark Tank is hard work.
But 2 days later, Sheffield are playing again in the Shark Tank, and they're playing Surrey 89ers. So I think that's going to be, I won't say not the game of the weekend, but you've got the Newcastle one on the 6th. I'd say this one for Sheffield versus the 89ers, that'll be good, because the 89ers, they look like they want it. They are really
Something's
up for
going
it.
on. Something's going on.
Something's
They've got something in the water in Surrey at the moment.
There's a tingle down south.
Right.
Right. And so ends another edition of the Talking Basketball podcast. Thank you so much for listening to us. And it will all return back to normal next week. But thank you for listening. And check us out on the socials. Check out our YouTube. If you're not watching this already, wherever our camera is, go check it out, because we're going to do more of these. Thank you for listening. And I've been Mark.
I have been Paul, and I hate badminton. I hate it. Fuck. You look like a prisoner. You look like an escaped convict with that hat on.
Thank you so much.